Hello there. This is such like a point. This was my church. In the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and then I moved on and living out of the coast. So this is quite a treat and quite a honor to be here today. So thank you. Today I'm going to be talking. Can everybody hear me? Okay. A little bit louder?
Louder. I can turn you up. I mean the mic.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. So today I'm going to be talking about how you can leave your negative thoughts alone. Anybody here ever have a negative thought? Okay, I'm in the right place. So we know from New Thought that thoughts have an incredible manifestation energy that allows us to really bring into matter what is happening in our lives. What isn't always helpful are these automatic negative thoughts. We call them ants in therapy, in something called cognitive behavioral therapy. That are automatic negative thoughts. Our heads are basically programmed to notice the negative because it's based in fear. Right? It's the negative that always is based in the safe. Is it okay? So we have to work really hard to be able to change those. And my supposition for today is we need to leave those alone. And the way that we do that is to be able to first recognize it, right? This is a negative thought. This is not a useful thought. This is a self-defeating thought. It's usually not working really well for you. It's based in fear. These are all little signposts that tell you, is this real or is this a negative? Another way that you can tell if it's a negative thought is it tends to diminish you. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, this is telling me that I'm not good enough. I'm not enough, period. I am going to fail any moment now. Right? All of those kinds of things. It usually decreases your energy, your motivation, your ability to act, because it's suppressing you with that fear. Many of them are not true. Think of that. They're not actually true. I am not actually going to trip down the stairs today on my way down. Just a negative thought that came up, you know. Probably not true. If I keep harping on it, it could become that thought that I manifest. So we'll let that go for now. They also pull you, negative thoughts pull you into rabbit holes. That's what I call it when I get depressed. I'm usually going down the rabbit hole, going down. And it's, again, based on fear. Now, fear is a lovely thing. It helps us to survive. There's nothing wrong with fear if it's based in reality. A meteor coming towards you, there's a reason for me we have a fear, right? But there isn't a big bear or a tiger or an elephant coming at you, but that's how we feel when we have those negative thoughts, right? It's like, and we either freeze, we flee, get out of that situation, or we fight, or we, the last one that they've been talking about lately is fawning. You know, I'll just do everything that you need, I'll be a people pleaser, and everything will be okay. So now that we know what these things are, these negative thoughts that we want to leave alone. Let's talk about how they come up. They usually come up because either they are just habitual and you're always telling yourself these things. I'm not good enough. Oh, this line in my face. It's gray hairs. Oh yeah, I got a lot of those. So what are those habitual negative thoughts that we have? They're usually beliefs about ourselves, and they just keep coming. But there will be other things that are triggers. So I'm going to ask you to just raise your hand if you've ever had insecurity. Okay, great. For those of you who didn't raise your hand, I'd love to talk to you. Anytime starting something new and learning something, anybody gets triggered by that? A little insecurity in that? What about when things are going on in the world that you don't think are just? Okay. What about being in a relationship with another human being? Ever get triggered by things like that? Well, my wife said yes. Not with you. Not with me. Thank you. Thank you. I paid her for that. She gets the check. So those triggers for me, I'll share a little bit about how those come up for me. Recently, well, the last 5, 6 years, somewhere in there, I went back to school and I decided to get a master's of social work. I was in my late 50s. My brain had been through a number of things that made it really easy for me to believe the negative thoughts of how am I going to do this? What was I thinking as I'm, awake trying to figure out how to do my research paper? What I needed to do, I'll speak for myself here. What I needed to do was to remember that those were just based in fear. They weren't real. So how I went about doing that is looking head on at the thought. What did it make me feel when I had that thought? And what was the action? So for instance, I have the thought, I'm never gonna get this paper done on time. Right? How do I feel? Defeated? Unmotivated? What happened? I decided to watch some TV. Because that's my way of dealing with that. So if you can look at that and go, is that really true? This is your 3rd master's degree and you've gone through all of them and you've got papers and we can do this, all of us. There is plenty of evidence that the fear is not based in reality. It's based in insecurity, right? So, how do you acknowledge the thought, change it to something more realistic? So in this case, I could think, okay, I will get this paper and I will be able to have a break afterwards if I work on it now. Okay, so I can't do it. It's nice, but I'd like to be a little bit more I'm going to do an excellent job on this paper because I'm going to put in the time, I'm going to put in the research, I'm going to sit at the computer and get it done. So in doing that, I'm like, well, how do I feel about getting this paper done now? Well, I'm just going to sit down and do it. I don't have these automatic negative thoughts just whirling around. Our brains are wired to focus on the negative first. It's a survival. So how we move through that is really an important skill for everyone to be able to get to the positive. For me, one of the things that I like to say is that healing, the definition of healing, is recognizing wholeness that already exists. Healing isn't about fixing something. Healing isn't about making the negative thoughts go away. Healing is recognizing the wholeness of others, of yourself, of the world that already is. Those of you who are steeped in unity, that is the idea of manifestation, right? Healing is that recognition that I'm healthy, I am whole, whatever that looks like. And I find that there are 3 keys to being able to move through this. And so I'm gonna share those, and then we're gonna do a little bit more how to get from the negative to the positive. So the 3 keys for me is intention, right? You have the intention to deal with these negative thoughts. You have the intention to be having positive thoughts in your head. That's the intention behind it. It could be, I have an intention to live with compassion. I have the intention to embody love. I have the, whatever your values and what your vision and your purpose in this world, that's your intention. And then we have awareness, right? When I say, let's leave your negative thoughts alone, I'm not saying let's suppress them. I'm saying that we're going to look at them, challenge them, change them. And the only way to do that is to look at the eye, right? Anybody here ever have a fear that felt like it was hanging out like this behind you all the time? And then when you turned around and you went, that's what I'm afraid of, it's this little ant. It's just kind of hanging out, you know, an automatic negative thought. But if you're not looking at it, it looks really big and scary, right? So awareness helps you to turn around and look at the thoughts. Look at what you want to be doing. And then, of course, I think in some ways the easiest and the hardest is action. How do you actually move forward with this in your life? So intention, where do you want to go? What do you want to be expressing in your life? Awareness, what is that is happening in your life, in your mind, in whatever? And then how do I take action to have that positive life? So I'm not used to standing still. So in therapy, so as you talk about my background, I have both the New Thought Masters of Divinity and the Masters of Social Work, so the psychology kind of pieces. And for me, I bring them together. I think that they're actually just different paths to get to the same darn place, right? Which is unity. And so there is something called cognitive behavioral therapy. Some of you may have heard of it. It's kind of a thing these days. You know, it's considered very evidence-based and all that stuff. And the idea with cognitive behavioral therapy is that your thoughts, and this is very similar to New Thought, right? Your thoughts have an impact on your emotions, and your emotions have an impact on your behaviors, right? What actions you take. So you can change your behaviors, and that can sometimes help to change the feelings and to change the thoughts. For instance, let's say that I was, I don't know, nervous about speaking at Unity of Beaverton. Just, pulling that out from anywhere, now my mouth just went dry because I said that out loud. But let's say that I'm nervous about it, right? If I step up on the altar, the stage here, and I start speaking, I'm changing that by action, right? I'm getting through that thing that I'm nervous about, scared about, quite frankly, quite excited about. All of that going on, right? On the other hand, I can do some work on my thoughts, which I did on my way over here, right? Which is, I'm really nervous about speaking at Unity of Beaverton. I thought that was like the coolest thing to ever do 20 years ago. I was like, I'm going to be up there. And here I am. So, of course, I have the thoughts of, I will forget all my words. I will trip down the stairs. I will, I could go on, but I'm going to let myself off the hook. So what I have to do, or what I did, was to be able to look at those thoughts and say, is that really realistic? Is it really, from all the experience in your life, all the speaking that you've done, is it really realistic for me to think that I will have no words? You notice I have lots of words. It's not really realistic. And if I fall down the stairs, oh well. You are all forgiving people, it will be okay, right? It's like, oh, okay. I can just show up, be myself, share my message, and it'll be okay. Very different feeling than I'm just really nervous about speaking at Unity of Beaverton, right? And that feeling is just kind of like, I'll just run away. I won't show up. Ruth will forgive me. So, by virtue of working those thoughts, I changed the experience from feeling nervous to feeling excited. To feeling, why did I say I'd do that? To, I get to do that. That feeling is very different. And then I come here and hopefully I hit it out of the park instead of bombing. So that's the technique for recognizing what is that negative thought. Is it really realistic? In New Thought, we talk about it as denials, right? We do the work by taking the thoughts that are self-defeating, that are negative, that are not in alignment with the highest truth of who you are and who the universe is, right? Okay. So we take it from there and we go to, what do we do with those thoughts? Once we've looked at them, we've changed them around a little bit, we're going along and one of those ants come around again, right? The automatic negative thought, look around again, see if it's real, check it out, argue it out, find a thought that you can believe in, and go forward from there. If it was that easy, we'd all do it, right? So a little bit more, is helpful here. We can't just do the denials. We can't just argue our way through the thoughts. We have to look at our heart and see what feelings are coming there. And then we do the actions that help us on the other side. Does that make sense? Okay. So once we have figured them out, they still tend to come. Anybody here, like, you can argue your way through an argument of like, yeah, I'm not gonna fall on my face, but okay, that's fine, but I need to find something that I can believe in. Anybody here ever use affirmations? Okay, I'm in the right place, right? Has anybody ever had the experience of an affirmation feeling really false? And you were like, this is not real, and yeah, whatever. Anybody there? Okay, I'm not the only one. Okay, good. So the idea behind affirmations is that you have to be able to, at least a little bit of you needs to be able to believe it before it will work. Otherwise, those negative thoughts are in the background, whether or not you acknowledge them. They're like, and they're making the negative thoughts continue. So we need to work with the positive as well, right? So the first thing that I find really useful about how to leave the negative thoughts alone is meditation or visualization. There's a million different kinds of meditation out there. So let me share the one that I find to be the most useful for negative thoughts. You've done the work, you've looked at the negative thoughts, you've decided, yes, they're not really true. This is closer to the truth. This is the thought that I want to be hanging out. You've done all that work, and they still are coming up. Being able to take a few minutes and take 3 nice deep breaths all the way into the belly and out through the mouth. And the negative thought shows up. What I do is I visualize it as like a leaf or a feather or a rose or a piece of wood, whatever you want to do, and let it float by. You're not hanging on to it, you're just allowing that negative thought to go by. Because that's all it is, it's a thought. You don't need to hang out and throw it a party. You can let it go. A feather, it floats away on the air. The leaf floats away on the river. The burning, well, the piece of wood I burn. So you have different elements that you can use. Whatever visualization works well for you, just like letting the thing go away. That takes time. It takes practice, but it really, really works if you want to get those negative thoughts out of there. The other thing, affirmations are really helpful if you can believe, if inside you can hook onto it and actually believe it. There's also something else that I have found that are called affirmations, which is Noah St. John is the person I heard about it from. And it works with psychology, so it makes me happy. And the idea behind affirmations is instead of saying, I am healthy, wealthy, and wise, that's my affirmation. Why am I healthy? Why am I healthy? And you let your mind work to be able to get to the place of knowing that not only are you healthy, but here's why. It could be that you take good care of yourself. It could be any number of things. You have good genes. But that why helps your brain to get new tracks. And instead of getting on the negative ant track, you're getting on the positive. This is what's working for me. Makes sense? Okay. So affirmations are positive. So what your question is really important to helping you to move forward with it. So you wouldn't ask things like, why am I a failure? That's why doesn't anybody like me? Right? These are all those negative thoughts there. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is focusing it on the positive. Focusing it on not just the positive, but the truth. We all know the difference, right? The truth. We have our Christ candle here today to remind us of what the truth is. Right? So why am I such a good speaker? That was the question I was asking myself on the way here. And I had a couple of answers. But though that just asking that question changes it from I'm really nervous about going back to Unity of Beaverton and doing a talk. Oh my gosh. To, why am I a good speaker? Oh, okay. I have a message. I have some skills. I got hurt, and I want to share that. That's why I'm a good speaker, right? Much different feeling to come up here and start blabbering for a while with that in mind. So I encourage you to notice the ants in your life, the automatic negative thoughts that are the ones that just keep coming up. There's usually a theme, there's usually a belief that's underneath that. And that's the next thing that you can do, is to move from just the thinking to moving it deeper into the beliefs that you hold about yourself, about the world. So check out those negative thoughts with intention of where you want to go, what you want to have in your life. Develop the awareness, because ignoring them completely does not help. They just keep running around in there if you don't get awareness in there to stop it, to be able to look at it and to challenge it. And then take some action. What are those things that have been holding you back, that have been self-defeat? How can you, as a lovely book says, feel the fear and do it anyway, right? It's like, what can you do that will show you that you are whatever that new positive thought is that you want to have? Okay, this is a little egotistical, but why am I a good speaker? And you heard that little negative thought, right? This is egotistical. Right? I just caught it. So why am I a good speaker? I'm able to list the reasons why in my head, all the stuff that I've done to get to this place. That helps me have that basis in reality. Now, there could be somebody that's coming up here that thinks I'm a good speaker, and it's not based in reality. I'm hoping that it is based in reality for me and for you today, because you just had to listen to me. So thank you very much. As those negative thoughts come, just let them go. Replace them with something that is positive. If you can't figure out why you're such a good positive person, say, why am I such a good positive person? And things will come forward. So that's my talk for today.